Hey everybody, I have read your discussion board posts and have given you feedback in your rubrics associated with your assignment this week. Just want to remind you how important it is that you go in and you read the assignment instructions before you start working on your discussion board. And if instructions are ever unclear, don't hesitate to ask questions for clarification. You can always ask the instructor discussion board for the logistical questions like where can I find this, or what does this really mean, or even what are you looking for here. If you're ever unclear, don't ever feel like you need to be guessing to figure things out. This course is heavily reliant on discussion boards, so being successful in those is pretty important. Because this course only has those 3 discussion boards and that one assignment, the discussion boards may feel a little bit more in depth in this course. And again, the reason is we're really treating those as the kind of the meat and potatoes of the course. So you are required to have a minimum word count. You know, the main thread should have 400 or more. Your peer reply should have 200 or more. And whenever you're counting words, know that you shouldn't be counting the greetings. You know, hello, John. Any references or added words. The reference, the content word count is where your material is carried, and that's where you get those minimum word counts or maximum word counts. Be sure that you are verifying what your word count looks like just dealing with content. So you're going to make sure that you have the minimum words, that you're posting your primary thread on Thursday, your last replies by Sunday night at 11:59, that you understand what the late policy is that applies to the course as well. So if you are posting with the word count, you're posting by the days that are required, and then you're adding references. Each of your posts should have unique references. So you can't use one reference in your primary thread and then pick it up and use it in your peer replies. There need to be 3 unique references spread across those 3 replies, so that when you're done, you've got 3 samples or 3 resources related to the topic that you've been assigned this week. So just be thoughtful about what that looks like in a final product. This week's work really looking at professional boundaries and how that plays out in professional practice. The vast majority of you hit on the importance of finding that balance of being kind and compassionate along with setting clear boundaries, and whether those boundaries are with our patients, whether they're with the patient's family, maybe they're the boundaries with our colleagues. It is so important that we know what those boundaries are and that we follow the AACN's recommendation for what professional practice with boundaries looks like. The professional values that were listed by the AACN were altruism and autonomy and human dignity, integrity, and social justice. And those are very impactful, very emotional sounding words. And very often when we're providing care that encompasses those values, it becomes an emotional kind of commitment. It's the part of, when we think about nursing being a science and an art, the heart is part of the art. And when we get our heart involved, when we really are looking at reflecting those professional values, it is so easy to slip into missteps in professional boundaries. So I appreciate your thoughtfulness in your discussion board posts exploring that topic. Next week, you've got your second discussion board post, and this one is about your code of ethics. There is a link that has groups, and it has parentheses module 2. You're going to find out what provision you've been assigned, and they were randomly done. Everybody's got a provision. I think there may be two of you have the same provision. The idea is that we didn't want everybody writing on provision 1 or everybody writing on 2 or 3 provisions. We wanted all 9 to be covered. So that's the reason that everybody was assigned one. You're not working in groups. It's just broken out into groups of provisions, so you know kind of which provision you were handed. Once you identify the provision that you were enrolled in, that's the provision, and you're just going to follow the discussion board instructions and rubric for your discussion board posts. So just be sure that you pick the right provision based on what you've been assigned. And when you do your peer replies, you're going to reply to 2 people's posts that are different than your own. So 2 different provisions. So when it's all said and done, you will have reviewed 3 of the 9 provisions. Great if you review all 9 of them, but at least in this assignment, when you're done, you're going to have covered 3 of the 9. So again, if you have questions or concerns, please holler at me. Just a reminder, you do have your analysis paper due. I'm going to strongly encourage you not to wait until the last minute to get that rolling. If you're not familiar with VoiceThread, I'm going to encourage you to go in and play with it. You can't break it, so be sure that your success is supported by using this new technology pretty easily. One of the best ways to start this process is to do a PowerPoint covering the topics, the topic and the elements that you've been assigned. Be sure you read the project carefully. You read all of the steps, and then you go in and look at the rubric. I've tried to line those up so that the rubric very much lines up with the expectations of your assignment. But you've got to do all this background stuff before you actually start. So when you get ready to do your VoiceThread, my encouragement is to do the research on your topic, then develop your PowerPoints, then put your PowerPoints into VoiceThread, and in VoiceThread is where you'll do your voiceover elements for each of your slides. So begin to think about kind of what that looks like. Time is going to fly by, so begin those building blocks now. Don't wait until the last week or so to get that rolling. I was checking my notes. When we look at APA, be sure that if you are citing a reference, that you are using APA formatting for the correct reference format, and that you are correctly citing it in the body of your work. I am not being overly picky about commas and spacing and italics and those kinds of things. What I am being picky about is first you have the reference, and is the reference pretty close? And then if you put the reference, have you cited it? Have you actually used it? So make sure that those two are jiving and that they are making sense. Otherwise, I may have questions. I think from an APA, that's pretty much the only thing that I had listed, was just to double check that. So I hope you guys are off to a good start for the week. It is I'm up here in the far upstate, so I'm in Traveler's Rest, where it is hot and humid and sticky, and you can see from behind me that my grading assistants, Madeline and Gracie, have said no thank you to being outside in the heat all day long. So I hope you are like my puppies, you are avoiding the heat. Let me know if you have questions or concerns. I know being in an online class, you feel like you're disconnected and you're wandering out in the forest alone. Please know that you're not. If anything is ever unclear, I'm here. At least virtually, I'm here. Use your resources so that you're fully successful. Many of you, this is your last course. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. Be successful in it. And how you do that is planning ahead, using your time and using your resources, and know that I'm one of them. I hope you guys had a great week. Take care.